If you had to grab one truck gun right now, something compact, reliable, and actually ready when things go wrong, would you trust what you're running? Because most people either overpay for something they don't need, or worse, they end up with a setup that looks good but falls apart when it matters. And here's the part that surprises a lot of people. Some of the best truck guns in 2026 aren't the most expensive ones. In fact, a few of them cost way less than you'd expect, but still deliver serious performance where it counts. The difference today isn't just about price anymore. It's about smart design. It's about portability, durability, and how quickly you can deploy something in a real situation. Some of these platforms fold down small enough to disappear inside a backpack. Others are built tough enough to handle heat, dust, ults, and rough handling without missing a beat. And a few on this list completely change what people expect from a truck gun altogether. So in this video, we're going through some of the most practical, capable, and surprisingly affordable truck guns you can get right now. And by the time we reach the top spot, you might seriously rethink what you should be keeping in your vehicle. We begin this list at number 37, CMMG Banshee. Mark 10 is one of those carbines that instantly proves why the modern budget 9mm category is no longer about compromise, but about smart engineering and real performance. And that's exactly why it earns a spot on this list right from the start, because it delivers a shooting experience that rivals far more expensive platforms while still staying within a reachable price range for most shooters today, typically landing around the $900 to $1,200 mark depending on configuration. And what truly sets it apart is the use of CMMG's radial delayed blowback system, which completely changes how the gun behaves under recoil by slowing down the bolt movement in a way that reduces that harsh, snappy impulse you normally expect from traditional blowback designs, resulting in a smoother, more controlled feel that makes rapid follow-up shots faster and more accurate, especially during extended range sessions where consistency really matters. And when you pair that system with its compact overall length that usually sits around the mid-20-inch range depending on barrel configuration, along with a barrel length commonly around 8 to 10 inches, you get a platform that is both maneuverable and stable without feeling front-heavy or awkward to handle. The weight typically staying around 5 pounds also helps maintain that balance, making it easy to run for long periods without fatigue while still having enough mass to keep recoil predictable. Another major advantage is its compatibility with Glock magazines, which significantly lowers long-term ownership costs and makes sourcing reliable mags incredibly easy. Something that becomes more important the more you actually train with the platform, and the AR style controls further enhance usability by providing a familiar layout that most shooters can pick up and run immediately without any learning curve. From the charging handle to the safety and magazine release, everything feels intuitive and efficient under pressure and beyond just functionality. The overall build quality stands out with a solid receiver, tight tolerances, and a trigger that feels noticeably cleaner than many carbines in this price range, giving you a more refined shooting experience that doesn't feel like you're using a budget platform at all, while it may not be the absolute cheapest option on the list. And the radial system can be slightly more complex compared to basic blowback designs. Those trade-offs are exactly what allow it to deliver a higher level of performance where it actually counts, making it a perfect example of what this video is all about. A 9mm carbine that proves you don't need to jump into premium pricing to get smooth recoil, strong reliability, practical features, and a design that's built for real use rather than just specs on paper, which is why the Banshee Mark 10 stands out as one of the smartest choices for shooters who want performance that feels like an upgrade without paying a premium price. Moving on to number 36. The Grand Power Stribog SP9A3 stands out in this list because it represents exactly what the modern budget 9mm carbine category is evolving into: smarter engineering, improved shooting performance, and real-world usability, without pushing into premium pricing, making it a strong choice for shooters who want more than just a basic blowback experience. Right from the start, this platform separates itself with its delayed roller system, which is a major upgrade over traditional straight blowback designs, commonly found in this price range, and that difference becomes obvious the moment you start shooting. Instead of the sharp, snappy recoil impulse typical of most budget PCCs, the SP9A3 delivers a much smoother and more controlled cycling experience, allowing for faster follow-up shots and better overall control, and especially during rapid fire or extended sessions. In terms of size, the Carbine configuration typically features a barrel around 16 inches, with an overall length sitting roughly between 26 to 32 inches, depending on stock or brace setup, and a weight that stays in a comfortable range just over 5 pounds, striking a solid balance between maneuverability and stability. The construction is built around a robust aluminum receiver, giving it a rigid and durable feel that inspires confidence without adding unnecessary bulk, while the monolithic top rail provides a stable platform for optics that hold zero reliably over time. Ergonomically, the design is modern and intuitive, with ambidextrous controls that make it accessible to a wide range of users, and the overall layout feels purpose-built rather than adapted from another platform. Magazine design has also improved compared to earlier generations, offering better reliability and feeding consistency, which plays a big role in making the platform more dependable in real use. The recoil system, combined with the balanced weight distribution, helps keep the muzzle flat, making it easier to stay on target and maintain control during faster shooting strings. While it may not reach the refinement level of high-end gas-operated systems, it delivers a noticeable improvement over standard blowback carbines, which is exactly what makes it so appealing in this category. There are still some trade-offs. The trigger is serviceable rather than exceptional, and like many platforms in this range, it benefits from quality magazines and proper setup. But these are minor considerations compared to the overall performance it delivers. With current pricing typically landing in the $700 to $900 range, it sits comfortably in that sweet spot where affordability meets advanced design, offering features and shooting characteristics that were previously reserved for more expensive platforms. What ultimately earns the Grand Power Stribog SP9A3 a place in this list is how effectively it bridges the gap between entry-level simplicity and higher-end performance, delivering a carbine that feels refined, reliable, and genuinely enjoyable to shoot, proving that you do not need to spend premium money to get a platform that performs at a much higher level than expected. Taking the number 35, the Century Arms. AP5 steps into this list as one of the clearest examples of how a budget-friendly 9mm carbine can still deliver a truly authentic shooting experience without forcing you into premium pricing. And that's exactly why it deserves a spot here right from the start. Built as a faithful MP5 pattern platform, this carbine uses a roller-delayed blowback system instead of the typical straight blowback design you see in most carbines under $1,000. And that single design choice completely changes how it performs in real use. Instead of a sharp, snappy recoil impulse, the AP5 cycles smoothly with a softer push that keeps the muzzle more stable and allows for faster follow-up shots, especially when you start increasing your shooting pace. The overall length typically sits around 17.9 inches in its pistol configuration, with a barrel length of approximately 8.9 inches, giving it a compact profile that's easy to handle in tight spaces, while still maintaining enough weight to stay controllable during rapid fire. The stamped steel receiver adds durability and gives the platform that solid, classic feel that polymer-heavy designs often lack. And it's part of what makes the AP5 feel more substantial in the hands compared to other budget options. Ergonomically, it stays very true to the original MP5 layout, which means you're getting that iconic control scheme with the charging handle up front and the paddle-style magazine release. And while that might feel slightly dated if you're used to modern AR-style controls, it quickly becomes intuitive with a bit of time behind the gun. One of the biggest advantages here is magazine compatibility, as it accepts widely available MP5 pattern magazines that are proven to be reliable and relatively affordable, making long-term ownership far more practical. In terms of performance, the AP5 handles a wide range of ammunition consistently, and the roller-delayed system helps reduce wear on internal components over time, which contributes to its reputation for durability. Current pricing in 2026 typically lands in the $900 to $1,200 range, depending on configuration and availability, placing it right in that sweet spot where you're getting a premium-style operating system without stepping fully into high-end territory. Now, what really makes the Century Arms AP5 stand out in a list focused on value-driven 9mm carbines is how it bridges the gap between classic design and modern practicality. It's not trying to reinvent the platform or compete with ultra-modern modular systems. Instead, it delivers a proven operating system, a smooth shooting experience, and a level of authenticity that most budget carbines simply cannot replicate. There are some trade-offs, like the slightly heavier build and less modern ergonomics, but those are directly tied to what makes this platform so appealing in the first place. It offers a shooting experience that feels refined, controlled, and consistent, while still staying within reach for shooters who don't want to overspend. And that combination of performance, reliability, and real-world usability is exactly why the AP5 earns its place in this lineup, proving that you don't need to sacrifice quality to stay within a reasonable budget. Right alongside it, number 34, Heckler Koch SP5 immediately earns its place on this list because it represents one of the most refined and proven approaches to a 9mm carbine that still fits within the broader idea of smart spending rather than pure budget cutting, delivering a level of performance, reliability, and shooting comfort that many cheaper platforms simply cannot replicate. Built as a civilian version of the iconic MP5 platform, the SP5 carries forward a roller-delayed blowback system that fundamentally changes how the gun behaves under recoil, producing a noticeably softer and smoother impulse compared to traditional straight blowback designs, which often feel sharp and abrupt during rapid fire. This translates directly into better control, faster follow-up shots, and a shooting experience that remains comfortable even during extended range sessions. The overall length sits around 17.8 inches in its compact configuration, with a barrel length of approximately 8.9 inches, giving it a balanced profile that feels both compact and stable without becoming difficult to handle. Weight comes in at roughly 5.1 pounds, which helps maintain maneuverability while still providing enough mass to keep the gun planted during firing. One of the most defining aspects of the SP5 is its build quality, with a cold hammer forged barrel, precision machine components, and an overall fit and finish that reflects Heckler & Koch's reputation for tight tolerances and long-term durability. Every control, from the charging handle to the safety selector, feels deliberate and consistent, all contributing to a platform that inspires confidence the moment you pick it up. The gun runs on proprietary MP5 pattern magazines, which are widely available and known for their reliability, further reinforcing its practicality for regular use. In terms of features, the SP5 keeps things relatively traditional, avoiding excessive modern add-ons in favor of a clean, proven design that focuses on performance rather than unnecessary complexity. This can be seen as both an advantage and a limitation, since while it lacks some of the modularity found in more modern PCC platforms, it compensates with a level of refinement and reliability that few competitors can match. Pricing typically falls in the range of $2,500 to $3,000, depending on market conditions, making it one of the more expensive entries in this lineup. But its inclusion here is justified by the fact that it delivers a shooting experience that feels closer to a premium submachine gun than a typical civilian carbine. The reason this platform belongs on a list focused on value-driven 9mm carbines is not because it is cheap, but because it offers a level of performance and engineering that holds its value over time, providing shooters with a system that is not only reliable, but also exceptionally enjoyable to run. For those who want the closest possible connection to a legendary design while still benefiting from modern manufacturing standards, the SP5 stands out as one of the clearest examples of how spending more can still be considered smart when the performance truly backs it up. At number 33, the Wilson Combat AR9 SBR stands out immediately in this list, because it represents what happens when a premium firearms manufacturer applies true high-end engineering to a 9mm carbine. And that's exactly why it earns its place in a lineup focused on performance-driven value rather than just low price. This is not your typical budget AR-style PCC that simply gets the job done. It's a refined, purpose-built platform designed for shooters who want precision, consistency, and reliability without stepping into overly complex systems, built around a compact short barrel configuration, typically featuring a barrel length in the 8 to 10 inch range and an overall length that stays extremely maneuverable depending on stock or brace setup. And this carbine is clearly optimized for close quarters handling while still maintaining excellent control. The billet aluminum receiver set is tightly machined, giving it a solid, almost seamless feel with minimal play between components, and that directly contributes to both durability and accuracy over time. What really separates this platform is the attention to detail in every part of the shooting experience. The trigger is one of the first things you notice, delivering a clean break with a short reset that makes follow-up shots faster and more predictable. Even though it uses a blowback system, which is common in this category, Wilson Combat has tuned the internal components, buffer system, and overall cycling in a way that reduces the harsh recoil impulse typically associated with blowback carbines. The result is a smoother, flatter shooting experience that feels more controlled, especially during rapid fire. It runs on widely available Glock pattern magazines, which is a major advantage in terms of cost efficiency and accessibility, allowing shooters to train more without worrying about expensive proprietary mags. The handguard is slim, free-floated, and designed with M-LOK compatibility, giving you flexibility to mount lights, grips, or other accessories without adding unnecessary bulk. Combined with a full-length top rail, it creates a very adaptable platform that works well with red dot optics, which is where this carbine really shines. Weight is typically kept in a balanced range, light enough for maneuverability, but heavy enough to help manage recoil and maintain stability. In terms of pricing, the Wilson Combat AR9 SBR usually sits in the upper mid-tier bracket, often around the $1,000 to $1,300 range depending on configuration, which positions it as a premium value option rather than a true budget pick. The reason this carbine belongs on this list is simple. It proves that you don't need to jump into extremely expensive territory to get a 9mm platform that feels refined, reliable, and ready for serious use. It bridges the gap between affordability and high-end performance in a way that very few PCCs manage to achieve. Whether you're using it for training, competition, or defensive roles, it delivers a level of consistency and confidence that makes it stand out. Not because it's flashy, but because everything about it works exactly the way it should. Next up, number 32. The Nordic Components NC9 steps into this list as one of the clearest examples of what happens when a competition-driven design is applied to a budget-conscious 9mm carbine. And that's exactly why it earns its place here, because this platform is not trying to be flashy or trendy. It is built around real performance that shooters can actually feel the moment they get behind the trigger, typically sitting in the $800 to $900 range depending on configuration, which places it right in that sweet spot where affordability meets serious capability. And from the start, you can tell this carbine is engineered with purpose, featuring a 16-inch barrel that delivers consistent accuracy at practical distances, while maintaining a balanced overall length of roughly 32 to 35 inches depending on stock setup, thus giving it a stable shooting platform without becoming bulky or difficult to handle during extended sessions. The aluminum receiver keeps the weight manageable, usually around 6 to 6.5 pounds, which is light enough for maneuverability, but still solid enough to help control recoil and maintain sight picture during rapid fire. And internally it uses a refined blowback system that has been tuned specifically for reliability and smoother cycling compared to many entry-level PCCs, allowing it to run a wide range of ammunition without becoming overly sensitive, which is critical for shooters who plan to train regularly with bulk ammo. One of the biggest strengths of the NC9 is its competition-oriented design philosophy, where everything is focused on efficiency. From the clean trigger brake that supports more precise shot placement to the consistent cycling that helps maintain rhythm during drills. And this is where it separates itself from more basic carbines, because it is not just about working reliably, it is about working predictably every time. The modularity of the platform is another key advantage, built around AR-style compatibility, which means you can easily swap out triggers, grips, stocks, and handguards to tailor the rifle to your exact preferences without being locked into proprietary components. The free float handguard with M-lock slots provides plenty of space for accessories like lights or grips, while keeping the overall profile slim and functional. And the full-length top rail ensures that optics can be mounted securely with consistent zero retention, making it ideal for red dot setups that enhance speed and target acquisition. Of course, it is not perfect. The straight blowback system still produces a slightly sharper recoil impulse compared to more advanced delayed systems, and the design prioritizes function over aesthetics, so it may not stand out visually compared to more aggressive or futuristic platforms. But those trade-offs are exactly what allow it to stay within this price range while delivering performance that genuinely matters. And that is the core reason why the Nordic Components NC9 belongs on this list, because it represents what a budget 9mm carbine should be in 2026. Not just affordable, but accurate, reliable, customizable, and built for shooters who actually want to push their skills, rather than just own another rifle. All making it one of the smartest choices for anyone looking to step into a performance-focused PCC without crossing into premium pricing. Setting the tone early 31, the Springfield Armory Kuna steps into this list as one of the most interesting and underrated entries in the budget 9mm carbine space. And the reason it earns its place here is simple. It represents exactly what this category is becoming in 2026. A balance between smart design, real-world usability, and accessible performance without unnecessary complexity driving up the price. Sitting in that roughly $700 to $900 range depending on configuration, the Kuna positions itself right where most shooters want to be, offering solid capability without crossing into premium territory. Right away, what stands out is its compact and well-balanced profile, typically built around a barrel length in the 10 to 16-inch range with an overall length that stays manageable for both storage and maneuverability, all making it practical for home defense setups, range use, or even vehicle-based storage. The design feels intentional from the moment you pick it up, with a layout that emphasizes natural handling and intuitive control placement, allowing both new and experienced shooters to run it effectively without needing time to adjust. The controls are positioned in a way that feels familiar, especially for those used to modern sporting rifles, and that reduces the learning curve significantly. Internally, the Kuna leans on a proven blowback system, but it's tuned in a way that keeps the recoil impulse predictable and manageable rather than overly sharp, which is critical for maintaining control during faster shooting sequences. The weight distribution plays a big role here as well, or giving the carbine enough mass to stay stable without feeling heavy or sluggish during extended sessions. Another strong point is its modularity with a handguard that typically supports M-lock attachments, allowing users to easily mount lights, grips, or other accessories depending on their needs, while a full-length top rail makes optic mounting simple and secure. Magazine compatibility is designed with practicality in mind, ensuring that users can source mags without excessive cost or difficulty, which directly impacts long-term ownership value. What really defines the Kuna, though, is how it avoids overcomplicating the platform. There are no gimmicks here, no unnecessary systems that add cost without real benefit. Instead, it focuses on delivering a clean, reliable shooting experience that works consistently across different types of ammo, including more affordable bulk options, which is exactly what most shooters will be running regularly. The ergonomics, balance, and straightforward operation all come together to create a carbine that feels approachable yet capable, making it a strong fit for both beginners and more experienced users who want something dependable without stepping into higher price brackets. That combination of accessibility, reliability, and thoughtful design is exactly why the Springfield Armory Kuna deserves a spot in this lineup, because it reflects what a modern budget 9mm carbine should be. Not flashy, not overbuilt, but genuinely effective where it matters most. At the starting line, number 30, Extar EP9 is one of the clearest examples of why the budget 9mm carbine category has become so competitive. And the reason it earns a spot on this list right away is simple. It delivers real, usable performance at a price point that almost feels too low for what you're getting. Typically sitting in the $450 to $550 range in 2026, this platform is built for shooters who want something reliable without overcommitting financially, and yet it performs far beyond what most people expect from that bracket. The overall length comes in at around 24 to 25 inches, depending on configuration, paired with a 16-inch barrel that gives you solid velocity and control while still keeping the platform compact and easy to maneuver. One of the first things you notice is how lightweight it feels, coming in at roughly 4 pounds, which makes a huge difference during extended range sessions or when running drills. That reduced weight does introduce a slightly sharper recoil impulse compared to heavier carbines, but the design keeps it very manageable and predictable, especially for newer shooters. The construction leans heavily into advanced polymer materials rather than traditional aluminum. And while that might raise eyebrows at first, it's actually one of the reasons this carbine stays so light while still maintaining durability where it matters. Internally, it uses a simple blowback system that prioritizes reliability over complexity, and that simplicity translates into fewer failure points, easier maintenance, and consistent cycling across a wide range of ammunition, all including lower-cost bulk rounds that most shooters rely on for training. Another major advantage is its compatibility with Glock magazines, which plays a huge role in keeping long-term costs down while ensuring easy access to reliable, widely available mags. The buffer system is also tuned specifically for this lightweight platform, helping smooth out the shooting cycle more than you'd expect from something in this price range. Ergonomically, it follows an AR-style layout, so controls feel familiar and intuitive right out of the box, reducing the learning curve and making it easy to pick up and run effectively. The handguard provides enough space for mounting essential accessories like lights or grips without adding unnecessary bulk, and the top rail allows for straightforward optic setup, which is where this carbine really shines in practical use. Of course, it's not perfect. The trigger is fairly basic, and the polymer-heavy construction may not appeal to shooters who prefer a more traditional metal feel, but those trade-offs are exactly what allow it to stay in this ultra-accessible price range while still delivering strong performance. What makes the Extar EP9 stand out in a list focused on value-driven 9mm carbines is how well it balances cost, reliability, and usability in a way that actually makes sense for real-world use. It's not trying to compete with high-end systems on refinement or advanced engineering. Instead, it focuses on giving you a platform that runs consistently, is easy to maintain, and allows you to spend more time shooting and less time worrying about cost, which is exactly what defines a smart budget choice in today's market. Setting the baseline at number 29, the Ruger LC Carbine stands out as one of the most forward-thinking entries in the budget 9mm carbine space. And the reason it earns a spot on this list right away comes down to how well it blends modern design, real-world usability, and accessible pricing into a single, highly practical platform. Sitting typically in the $700 to $800 range depending on configuration, this carbine positions itself perfectly between entry-level options and higher-end systems, offering a level of refinement that feels closer to premium without crossing into that territory. What immediately defines the LC Carbine is its lightweight build, coming in at just over 6 pounds, combined with an overall length of roughly 28 inches, which makes it extremely maneuverable in tight spaces while still maintaining enough stability for controlled shooting. The 16.25-inch barrel strikes a strong balance between compact handling and reliable ballistic performance, giving you consistent accuracy at typical engagement distances without making the platform feel front-heavy or sluggish during extended use. Ergonomically, this is where the LC Carbine really separates itself from many competitors in the same price range, because everything about its layout feels intentional and easy to run. The controls are intuitive and well-placed, the grip angle feels natural, and the ambidextrous charging handle adds flexibility for different shooting styles, making it approachable for both newer shooters and those with more experience. It feeds from Ruger's magazine ecosystem, which is a major advantage in terms of long-term practicality, especially for users who already run Ruger sidearms, allowing for seamless compatibility and reducing overall gear costs. Internally, the system is built around a straightforward blowback design, but Ruger has done a solid job tuning it to keep recoil manageable and predictable, resulting in a shooting experience that feels smooth enough for rapid follow-up shots without introducing unnecessary complexity. The free float handguard with M-lock slots provides ample space for mounting accessories like lights or grips, while the full-length top rail makes optic placement simple and secure, turning the platform into a fast and responsive setup when paired with a red dot. One of the key strengths of the LC Carbine is how balanced it feels in actual use. Because it doesn't try to dominate in just one category, but instead delivers consistently across ergonomics, handling, and reliability. Of course, it's not without drawbacks, as the trigger is serviceable rather than exceptional, and the blowback system still carries a slightly sharper impulse compared to more advanced operating systems. But those trade-offs are exactly what allow it to stay within this price bracket while maintaining overall performance. What ultimately makes the Ruger LC Carbine belong in a value-focused list like this is how well it reflects the current state of the market, where you no longer need to spend premium money to get a carbine that feels modern, runs reliably, and adapts easily to different roles, making it a smart, well-rounded choice for shooters who want performance, practicality, and ease of use without overcomplicating their setup. Stepping into a more refined tier number, 28, SIG Sauer MPX immediately stands out in this list because it represents what happens when a platform moves beyond the limitations of traditional blowback systems and starts delivering performance that genuinely feels closer to a full rifle experience, which is exactly why it deserves a spot in a value-focused 9mm carbine lineup despite its higher price point, typically landing around the $900 to $1,200 range depending on configuration and current market availability. And the reason it fits here is simple. It proves that smart engineering can elevate performance without completely pushing it out of reach for serious shooters who still care about cost efficiency. At the core of the MPX is its short-stroke gas piston system, and that alone changes everything about how this carbine behaves under recoil. Instead of the sharp, abrupt impulse you get from most blowback PCCs, the MPX cycles smoothly with a softer, more controlled push that keeps the muzzle flatter and allows faster follow-up shots, especially during rapid strings or longer training sessions. And that directly translates into better accuracy and less fatigue over time. The overall length typically sits around 16 inches in barrel configuration, with a compact and well-balanced profile, while shorter variants bring it down significantly for tighter handling. The handguard is slim and modular with M-lock compatibility, giving you plenty of space for lights, grips, or other accessories without making the platform feel bulky, and the full-length top rail makes optic mounting straightforward and stable, which is exactly where this carbine really shines, because pairing it with a red dot turns it into an extremely responsive and precise system at practical engagement distances. The controls follow a familiar AR-style layout, but feel more refined, with ambidextrous features that make it accessible for a wide range of shooters. And the trigger out of the box is noticeably better than most PCCs in this category, offering a cleaner break that contributes to overall shooting confidence. Magazine design is proprietary, which can be seen as a downside compared to Glock-compatible systems. But the trade-off is reliable feeding and consistent performance when properly maintained, and the build quality overall reflects SIG's reputation with tight tolerances, solid materials, and a finish that feels premium in hand. Of course, it's not perfect. The price is higher than many other options on this list, and long-term maintenance can be slightly more involved due to the gas system compared to simpler blowback designs. But those trade-offs are directly tied to the performance gains you get in return. And that's really the key reason the MPX earns its place here, because it bridges the gap between budget practicality and premium shooting experience, giving you a carbine that not only runs reliably, but also feels refined, controlled, and purpose-built for real-world use rather than just meeting a price point, making it one of the most compelling options for shooters who want more than just basic functionality without stepping fully into high-end territory. To get things moving, number 27, the the Ångstad Arms UDP9 steps into this list as one of the clearest examples of how a compact 9mm carbine can deliver serious performance without pushing into premium pricing. And that's exactly why it earns its place in a value-focused lineup like this. Right away, what stands out is how tightly engineered this platform feels. Built around a billet aluminum receiver set, the fit and finish are noticeably more refined than many standard AR-style PCCs in the same price range, giving it a solid, confidence-inspiring feel the moment you pick it up. The overall length typically sits around 24 to 27 inches, depending on configuration, paired with barrel options commonly in the 6-inch to 8-inch range, which keeps the platform extremely compact while still maintaining practical accuracy at typical engagement distances. Weight stays in that balanced zone at roughly 5 to 6 pounds, making it light enough for fast handling, but not so light that recoil becomes difficult to control. Internally, the UDP9 uses a blowback system, but it's tuned well enough that the recoil impulse feels predictable and manageable rather than overly sharp, especially when paired with its well-balanced design. One of the biggest advantages here is its compatibility with Glock magazines, which immediately reduces long-term cost and makes sourcing reliable mags simple. A key factor for anyone planning to train regularly without overspending. The controls follow a familiar AR layout, allowing for quick adaptation with no learning curve. While features like last round bolt, hold open, and a free float M-Loke handguard add real usability rather than just cosmetic appeal. The handguard itself provides enough space for lights, grips, or other accessories without making the front end feel bulky, and the full-length top rail ensures optics can be mounted securely for consistent performance. In terms of shooting experience, the UDP9 shines in how controllable it feels during rapid fire, maintaining stability and allowing fast follow-up shots without fighting the platform. It's not trying to reinvent the system with complex mechanics, but instead focuses on refining what already works, delivering reliability across a wide range of ammo types, including cheaper bulk options. Current pricing typically lands between $900 and $1,100 depending on configuration. Alt's placing it right in that sweet spot where you're getting near premium build quality without fully stepping into high-end territory. Of course, it's not without trade-offs. The blowback system still produces more felt recoil than delayed systems, and it doesn't come with iron sights out of the box, which adds to the overall setup cost. But those are reasonable compromises considering what you're getting in return. What really secures the Ångstad Arms UDP9 a spot in this list is how well it balances compact size, durability, and real-world performance. It's a platform designed for shooters who want something small, reliable, and easy to run without sacrificing the feel of a higher-end carbine, making it one of the smartest choices in the compact 9mm PCC category today. The countdown begins at number 26, CMMG Banshee 300 MKGs. The CMMG Banshee 300 MKGs earns its place on this list because it perfectly represents what modern budget-conscious shooters are actually looking for in 2026. A platform that doesn't just cut costs but intelligently improves performance where it matters most. And right from the start, this carbine separates itself with CMMG's radial delayed blowback system, a design that dramatically reduces the harsh recoil impulse typically associated with traditional blowback PCCs, giving you a noticeably smoother, flatter shooting experience that becomes immediately obvious during rapid fire or extended range sessions. And that alone is a major reason why it stands out in a value-driven lineup like this, because it delivers a premium shooting feel without pushing into extreme pricing territory. Bore typically landing around the $1,200 range depending on configuration, which puts it within reach for shooters who want performance without going all in on high-end platforms. The overall length usually sits around 24 to 26 inches, depending on the brace or stock setup, paired with a 5 to 8 inch barrel in most common configurations, making it compact enough for tight handling while still maintaining solid ballistic performance for a 9mm system. The build quality is another key factor here, featuring a forged 7075-T6 aluminum receiver set that feels rigid and durable in the hands, not overly heavy, but substantial enough to inspire confidence during use. And when you combine that with AR-style controls, the learning curve is practically non-existent for most shooters, allowing for intuitive handling right out of the box. It also runs Glock magazines, which is a huge advantage in terms of cost efficiency and accessibility, since you're not locked into proprietary systems and can easily find reliable mags almost anywhere. Accuracy is consistent within typical PCC engagement distances, aided by a free-floating M-LOK handguard that gives you plenty of room for lights, grips, or other accessories without adding unnecessary bulk, and the top rail provides a stable mounting platform for optics, making it easy to configure the rifle exactly how you want it. One of the biggest strengths of the Banshee 300 Mark Gs is how well it balances performance and practicality. It's not the cheapest option on the list, but it justifies its price by offering a softer shooting system, better control, and a more refined overall experience compared to basic blowback carbines. Of course, there are trade-offs. The more advanced operating system can require slightly more attention when it comes to maintenance, and it's not as simple internally as entry-level designs. But for most users, that's a small price to pay for the performance gain, and that's exactly why this carbine fits so well into a list focused on smart value, because it proves you don't have to overspend to get something that feels genuinely high-end where it counts, delivering a shooting experience that encourages more training, better control, and long-term satisfaction instead of just meeting the minimum standard. At number 25, Kriss Vector CRB 9mm immediately earns its place on this list because it represents something very few budget-friendly carbines can offer. A genuinely different shooting experience that goes beyond the typical straight blowback design, while still staying within a price range that many shooters can realistically reach. In a category where most platforms rely on simple systems to keep costs down, the Vector stands out by using its Super V recoil mitigation system, which redirects recoil energy downward instead of straight back. That design choice has a noticeable impact the moment you start shooting, especially during rapid fire, where the muzzle stays flatter and follow-up shots feel faster and more controlled compared to traditional PCCs. This is exactly why it fits the theme of a value-driven list. It's because it's not just about being affordable, it's about delivering something unique that actually improves performance in a meaningful way. The CRB variant comes with a 16-inch barrel, bringing the overall length to roughly 35.25 inches depending on configuration, and weighing in around 6.1 to 6.6 pounds, which gives it a balanced feel between stability and maneuverability. The longer barrel not only helps with accuracy at extended PCC distances, but also improves overall control, making it more comfortable for range sessions or practical shooting scenarios. The upper and lower receivers are built with a combination of high-strength polymer and aluminum components, giving the platform durability without unnecessary weight. The full-length top rail and additional M-LOK mounting space allow for easy customization. Whether you're running optics, lights, or foregrips, and the ambidextrous controls make it accessible for a wide range of users. One of the biggest advantages of the Vector platform is its compatibility with Glock magazines, which keeps long-term ownership costs down and ensures easy access to reliable mags. That alone makes it far more practical than many proprietary systems in this price range. The trigger is serviceable out of the box, not competition grade, but consistent enough for most users, and the overall ergonomics, while unconventional at first, become intuitive after some time behind the gun. Of course, it's not perfect. The unique design can feel a bit bulky to some shooters, and the manual of arms is different enough that it requires a short adjustment period. But those trade-offs are directly tied to what the platform is trying to achieve, which is improved recoil control and a distinct shooting dynamic. Price-wise, the Kriss Vector CRB typically sits in the $900 to $1,200 range in 2026, depending on configuration and market conditions, placing it right at the upper end of the budget category. But what justifies that position is the fact that you're getting a system that doesn't just copy existing designs. It brings real innovation into a space that is often dominated by simplicity. And that's exactly why it deserves a spot on this list. because it proves that even within a budget-focused lineup, you can still get something that feels different, performs differently, and adds real value beyond just the price tag. Down at the base of the list, number 24, Aero Precision EP9 steps into this list as one of the smartest choices for shooters who care about building a 9mm carbine exactly the way they want, not just settling for a fixed out-of-the-box setup, and that's exactly why it earns its place in a value-focused lineup like this. In a market where many budget PCCs lock you into proprietary parts or limited upgrade paths, the EP9 does the opposite by embracing full AR-style compatibility, giving you immediate access to one of the largest aftermarket ecosystems available. That alone changes the long-term value of this platform, because you're not just buying a rifle, you're investing in something that can evolve with your needs over time. The overall length typically sits around 24 to 32 inches depending on configuration, with common barrel lengths ranging from 8.3 inches up to 16 inches, allowing you to tailor the balance between compact handling and improved velocity. The receiver set is precision machined from 7075-T6 aluminum, which gives it a solid and rigid feel without unnecessary weight. And that structural strength plays a direct role in both accuracy and durability over extended use. One of the defining features of the EP9 is how clean and purpose-built the design feels. Aero didn't just adapt a standard AR lower and call it done. They engineered this platform specifically for 9mm performance, which improves feeding reliability and overall function compared to many generic AR9 builds. It runs Glock magazines, which is a huge advantage in terms of cost efficiency and availability. And the integrated last round bolt hold open system works consistently, something that not every PCC in this price range manages to get right. Internally, it still uses a blowback system, so you do get a slightly sharper recoil impulse compared to delayed systems, but the weight distribution and buffer setup help keep it controllable and predictable during rapid fire. The handguard options vary depending on the build, but most configurations feature M-low-key compatibility, giving you plenty of space for lights, grips, and other practical accessories without adding unnecessary bulk. In terms of pricing, the EP9 typically lands in that $700 to $900 range depending on how it's configured, which puts it right in the sweet spot for shooters who want performance without stepping into premium territory. The real advantage here isn't just how it performs out of the box, but how easily it can be upgraded. You can swap triggers, change barrels, adjust buffer systems, and fine-tune the entire setup to match your shooting style. That level of flexibility is something many budget PCCs simply don't offer. And it's the core reason this platform stands out. It's not trying to impress with flashy features or gimmicks. Instead, it focuses on giving you a strong, reliable foundation that you can build on over time. For shooters who want a 9mm carbine that grows with them, adapts to different roles, and continues to deliver consistent performance without locking them into a single configuration, the Aero Precision EP9 makes a lot of sense and fully earns its place in this list. The journey starts at number 23. PSAJAKL steps into this list as one of the smartest value-focused 9mm carbines you can pick up right now. And it earns that spot by doing something most budget platforms struggle with, delivering modern features without driving up the price. Typically sitting in the $700 to $800 range depending on configuration, the ARV hits that sweet spot where affordability meets real usability, which is exactly what this category is all about. Right away, what makes this platform stand out is its use of CZ Scorpion pattern magazines. And that decision matters more than it might seem at first. These mags are widely available, proven to be reliable, and often cheaper than many proprietary options, which directly lowers your long-term cost of ownership, while giving you access to high-capacity, most durable magazines that are easy to find. The rifle itself follows an AR-style layout, which means the controls are instantly familiar from the safety to the magazine release, making it easy for both new and experienced shooters to pick up and run without any learning curve. In terms of size, the ARV typically comes with a 16-inch barrel and an overall length around 32 to 35 inches, depending on the stock setup. giving it a balanced profile that feels stable without becoming bulky. The free-float M-LOK handguard adds real versatility, allowing you to mount lights, grips, or other accessories without cluttering the platform, while the full-length top rail makes optic mounting simple and reliable. Internally, it uses a straightforward blowback system, and while that's a common approach in this category, PSA has tuned it well enough to keep recoil manageable and predictable, especially when paired with the rifle's overall weight and buffer system. It's not the softest shooting carbine on this list, but it delivers a consistent and controllable experience that works well for both training and practical use. One of the biggest advantages of the ARV is how forgiving it is with ammunition, running everything from bulk range ammo to higher quality loads without becoming unreliable, which is exactly what you want in a budget-friendly platform. Build quality is another area where this rifle performs above expectations, with a solid receiver, good fit between components, and a general sense that it was designed for actual use rather than just hitting a price point. Of course, there are some trade-offs. The trigger out of the box is fairly standard, and the blowback system still produces a sharper recoil impulse compared to more advanced delayed systems. But those are expected compromises that don't take away from the overall value. What really secures the PSA ARV a place in this list is how well it aligns with the idea of a modern budget 9mm carbine that actually makes sense to own. It's not trying to reinvent the platform or compete with high-end designs. Instead, it focuses on reliability, practicality, and cost efficiency, delivering a setup that you can realistically train with, upgrade over time, and rely on without overspending. And that balance is exactly what defines a true value-driven PCC in today's market. Right at the bottom, number 22, Kalashnikov USA KP-9 steps into this list as one of the most distinctive and value-driven entries because it delivers true AK heritage in a 9mm platform without inflating the price into premium territory, and that alone makes it stand out in a category focused on practical performance per dollar. This is not a cosmetic redesign or an AR-style system trying to imitate something else. It is built around a genuine AK-based operating system with a straight blowback action that prioritizes simplicity, durability, and consistency over complexity. With an overall length typically around 16 inches in its standard configuration, and a barrel length close to 9.25 inches, the KP-9 maintains a compact and highly maneuverable profile while still offering enough mass to stabilize recoil during rapid fire. That balance becomes immediately noticeable when shooting because unlike many lightweight carbines that feel snappy or unpredictable, this platform absorbs recoil in a way that feels planted and controlled, allowing for faster follow-up shots and better target tracking. The stamped steel receiver and trunnion construction mirror traditional AK design principles, which means this is a rifle built to handle long-term use, rough conditions, and high round counts without losing reliability. Something that directly aligns with the idea of a budget carbine that you can actually depend on rather than just occasionally shoot. One of the most practical aspects of the KP-9 is its dedicated magazine system, which is widely available, durable, and designed specifically for this platform, ensuring consistent feeding and reducing the kinds of issues sometimes seen in hybrid magazine setups. The manual of arms may feel unfamiliar at first for shooters coming from AR platforms, but once learned, it becomes efficient and even advantageous in certain situations due to its mechanical simplicity and robustness. In terms of features, the KP-9 often includes a threaded barrel for muzzle device compatibility, a side rail for optics mounting, and compatibility with modern accessories, allowing it to bridge the gap between classic design and modern usability without losing its core identity. Pricing typically lands in the $800 to $1,000 range depending on configuration, which places it firmly in that sweet spot where affordability meets serious build quality. The trade-offs are what you would expect from an AK-style system, all a slightly heavier weight compared to polymer-heavy PCCs, and a control layout that takes time to master, but those compromises directly contribute to its durability and recoil characteristics. What ultimately earns the KP-9 a place in this list is how well it represents a different approach to the 9mm carbine concept, offering a rugged, proven design that performs reliably under real-world conditions, while still remaining accessible to shooters who want something more than just another AR-style option, making it a smart and compelling choice for anyone looking for a PCC that emphasizes strength, consistency, and long-term value over trends. We start this breakdown with number 21, the Colt 9 MIL SMG. Carbine stands out on this list because it represents one of the original foundations of what a pistol-caliber carbine was meant to be. And even in 2026, it continues to prove why that formula still works for shooters who care about reliability, simplicity, and real-world usability. Built around a classic AR-style platform, this carbine typically features a 16-inch barrel paired with a traditional direct blowback system, giving it an overall length of around 32 to 35 inches depending on stock configuration, and a weight that usually sits in the 6 to 7 pound range, which creates a balanced feel that's stable without becoming overly heavy during extended sessions. What makes this platform especially relevant in a budget-focused lineup is how it avoids unnecessary complexity while still delivering consistent performance, because the blowback system, although basic compared to newer designs, is extremely durable and easy to maintain, with fewer moving parts that can fail over time, and that translates directly into long-term reliability for shooters who plan to run thousands of rounds through it. The carbine typically uses Colt pattern stick magazines, which have been around for decades and are widely available. And while they may not be as universally common as Glock magazines, they are proven to feed reliably and hold up under heavy use, reinforcing the platform's reputation as a dependable workhorse. One of the key advantages of the Colt 9 MIL SMG Carbine is its familiar control layout, especially for anyone who has experience with standard AR rifles, because everything from the safety to the magazine release and charging handle feels intuitive, allowing shooters to transition seamlessly without needing to relearn the system, and that ease of use becomes a major factor for both training and defensive scenarios. In terms of shooting performance, the recoil impulse is slightly sharper than more advanced delayed systems, but the weight of the rifle helps absorb that energy, keeping it manageable and predictable, which is exactly what you want when you're focusing on consistency rather than chasing cutting-edge innovation. The build quality leans toward a traditional aluminum receiver with a straightforward handguard setup, often featuring limited but practical rail space, all allowing for basic accessories like optics or lights without overcomplicating the design. Pricing in 2026 generally falls within the $800 to $1,000 range depending on configuration and availability, placing it firmly in that mid-tier bracket where value becomes more about longevity and proven performance rather than flashy features. The reason this carbine earns its place in this list is not because it introduces something new, but because it continues to deliver exactly what many shooters still prioritize, which is a platform that runs reliably, handles predictably, and maintains a level of simplicity that makes it easy to own, maintain, and trust over time. And in a market filled with increasingly complex designs, that kind of consistency becomes a strength rather than a limitation. Breaking into the list at number 20, CZ Scorpion EVO 3S1 continues to hold its place as one of the most recognized and trusted names in the 9mm PCC world. And the reason it shows up on this list is simple. It represents that perfect balance between proven reliability, real-world usability, and accessible performance that defines what a great budget-friendly carbine should be. Even years after its release, it still competes directly with newer platforms because of how well the core design was executed from the start. Built around a rugged polymer frame with an overall length typically around 26 inches, with the stock collapsed and extending past 34 inches when fully extended, paired with a 16.2-inch barrel, this carbine offers a solid mix of compact handling and practical accuracy. The weight sits around 6.1 pounds, which gives it enough mass to keep recoil manageable while still feeling light enough for extended range sessions or dynamic movement. At its core, the EVO 3S1 runs a straightforward blowback system, and while that may sound basic compared to more modern delayed systems, the tuning, weight distribution, and bolt design work together to keep the recoil impulse predictable and easy to control. That consistency is exactly what makes it such a strong choice for both new shooters and experienced users who want something they can rely on without overthinking it. The controls are one of its biggest strengths, with a simple and intuitive layout that allows for fast adaptation even if you're completely new to the platform. The safety, magazine release, and charging handle are all positioned for practical use. And while earlier versions had some ergonomic complaints, most users quickly adjust or upgrade with aftermarket options. And that brings up one of the biggest reasons this carbine continues to stay relevant. The modularity is outstanding. With full-length top rail space, M-low-key compatible handguard options, and a massive aftermarket ecosystem, you can easily configure it for anything from a clean, minimalist setup to a fully equipped defensive or competition-ready build. Magazine design is another highlight, with durable, widely available mags that are reasonably priced and known for reliability. In terms of performance, the EVO 3S1 delivers consistent accuracy within typical PCC engagement distances, and it handles rapid fire well thanks to its balanced design. It's not the softest shooting platform compared to delayed systems, and the trigger out of the box is fairly basic. But those are trade-offs that come with keeping the platform simple and affordable, usually landing in the $700 to $900 range depending on configuration. What truly secures its place in this list is how well it aligns with the idea of value without compromise. This is not just a budget option. It's a platform that has already proven itself over time, with thousands of users confirming its durability, reliability, and adaptability in real-world conditions. It doesn't rely on gimmicks or experimental features to stand out. Instead, it focuses on delivering a dependable, easy-to-use, and highly configurable carbine that continues to perform year after year, making it one of the smartest and most trusted choices in the 9mm PCC category today. Kicking things off at number 19, B&TG HM9 immediately earns its place on this list by proving that a budget-friendly 9mm carbine can still deliver a level of refinement that feels far closer to premium than most people expect. And that's exactly why it stands out in a lineup focused on real-world value rather than hype. At first glance, the GHM9 looks clean and minimal, but once you get hands-on with it, the difference becomes obvious. The overall length typically sits around 16 inches in the carbine configuration, paired with a well-balanced barrel that gives you solid accuracy at practical distances, while keeping the platform compact enough to remain highly maneuverable. Weighing in at roughly 6 pounds depending on configuration, it strikes that ideal middle ground where it feels stable without becoming heavy during extended use. Internally, it runs a blowback system, but unlike many cheaper designs, B&T has tuned it in a way that noticeably reduces that sharp, snappy recoil impulse. Instead, what you get is a smoother, more controlled cycling action that makes follow-up shots faster and more consistent, especially during longer range sessions where fatigue usually starts to show. The aluminum receiver adds to that refined feel, giving the gun a rigid, durable foundation that doesn't flex or feel cheap, and that directly contributes to both accuracy and long-term reliability. The monolithic top rail provides a solid mounting surface for optics, holding zero consistently even after repeated use, while the side charging handle and ambidextrous controls make the platform intuitive to run for both new and experienced shooters. Magazine compatibility varies by configuration, but the overall system is built around reliability and ease of use rather than forcing you into complicated setups. In terms of features, nothing here feels unnecessary or overdone. Instead of chasing trends, the GHM9 focuses on delivering a clean, purpose-built design that prioritizes performance where it actually matters. The trigger is predictable, the controls are well placed, and the ergonomics feel natural the moment you pick it up. Current pricing usually lands around the $900 to $1,100 range depending on the version, which might seem higher than entry-level options. But when you consider the build quality, shooting experience, and overall consistency, it becomes clear why this carbine fits perfectly into a value-driven list. The advantages are easy to see in real use. Smooth recoil, an excellent build quality, and a level of refinement that reduces fatigue over time all make it a strong performer. The downside is that it doesn't have the same level of modularity as some AR-style platforms, and parts or accessories can be slightly more expensive, but those trade-offs are tied directly to its design philosophy. This is not a platform trying to be everything. It's designed to do one thing extremely well, and that's deliver a reliable, controlled, and polished shooting experience. That's exactly why the B and TG HM9 belongs here. It shows that even in a category focused on affordability, you can still get a carbine that feels engineered, intentional, and built to perform every time you pick it up. Moving into the number 18, Kalashnikov USA KR9 is one of the clearest examples of how a budget-friendly 9mm carbine can deliver serious performance without losing the rugged DNA that made the AK platform legendary. And that's exactly why it earns a spot on this list right from the moment you see it. Built as a full-length carbine rather than a compact pistol variant, the KR9 brings a much more balanced and controllable shooting experience compared to its smaller counterpart. With an overall length sitting around 34 to 35 inches depending on configuration and a barrel length close to 16 inches, it hits that sweet spot where stability, velocity, and handling all come together in a way that feels practical for real-world use. The added length and weight, typically around 6.5 to 7 pounds, or help absorb recoil more effectively than lighter PCCs, giving you a smoother and more predictable shooting cycle, especially during rapid fire or extended sessions at the range. Internally, it sticks to a simple blowback system, but what makes it stand out is how that system is paired with the robust AK-style construction, including a stamped steel receiver and solid trunnion design that are built to handle long-term abuse without losing reliability. This is not a platform that feels delicate or overly refined. Instead, it leans into durability, offering a carbine that you can run hard without constantly worrying about maintenance or wear. One of the key advantages of the KR9 is its use of Vityaz-style magazines, which are known for their reliability and consistent feeding, helping ensure the gun runs smoothly across different types of ammo. The control layout follows the traditional AK pattern, which may take a little time to get used to for shooters coming from AR-style platforms. But once familiar, it becomes intuitive and efficient in its own way. The longer sight radius also contributes to improved accuracy, making it easier to stay on target during follow-up shots, while the overall weight distribution keeps the rifle planted and stable. In terms of features, you're getting a platform that supports modern accessories with rail options for optics and attachments, allowing you to tailor it to your needs without compromising its core identity. Price-wise, the KR9 typically sits in the $800 to $1,000 range in 2026, placing it firmly within the budget to mid-tier category. But what you're getting in return feels far more substantial than that price tag suggests. The reason this carbine deserves its place on a list focused on value is simple. It offers a level of durability, control, and long-term reliability that many similarly priced PCCs struggle to match, while also delivering a unique shooting experience that stands apart from the more common AR-style designs. It's not trying to be the lightest, the most modular, or the most refined option. Instead, it focuses on being dependable, consistent, and built to last, which for many shooters is exactly what matters most. When choosing a 9mm carbine, they can actually rely on over time. To get things moving, number 17, Masterpiece Arms. MPA30T brings a completely different energy into the budget 9mm carbine space. And that's exactly why it earns its place on this list right away. Because this platform is not trying to follow the same AR-style formula that dominates the category. Instead, it leans into a MAC-inspired design that instantly grabs attention while still delivering real, usable performance for shooters who want something affordable, compact, and capable. With an overall length sitting around 26 to 28 inches, depending on configuration, and a barrel length typically just over 16 inches, the MPA30T keeps a compact footprint that makes it easy to handle in tighter spaces, while still maintaining enough stability for controlled shooting. Oh, and that balance plays a big role in how this gun performs in real-world scenarios. The construction is built around a solid steel upper receiver paired with a simple but rugged frame, giving it a durable feel that holds up under extended use without adding unnecessary complexity. And at roughly 6 to 7 pounds, it sits in a range where it feels planted enough to manage recoil but still light enough to stay maneuverable during longer sessions. Internally, it runs a straight blowback system, which is about as simple and reliable as it gets. And while that does mean you're dealing with a slightly sharper recoil impulse compared to more advanced systems, the weight distribution and design help keep it manageable and predictable, especially for shooters who value consistency over refinement. One of the standout features here is its magazine compatibility with widely available double-stack magazines, which helps keep costs down and makes it easier to maintain over time without being locked into expensive proprietary options. And that directly supports the idea of a budget-friendly platform that actually makes sense to own and use regularly. The controls are intentionally straightforward, with a layout that prioritizes function over ergonomics, and while it may not feel as refined or modern as newer PCC designs, it offers a raw, mechanical shooting experience that a lot of users actually enjoy because it feels direct and responsive without unnecessary layers in between. In terms of pricing, the MPA30T typically falls in the $500 to $700 range in 2026, which places it firmly in the accessible category while still offering a build quality and durability that can handle consistent use, making it a strong option for shooters who want something different without stepping into higher price brackets. What really justifies its place in this list is how it delivers value in a way that most platforms don't even attempt. Because instead of competing head-to-head with AR-style carbines on modularity or refinement, it offers a unique design, solid reliability, and a compact form factor that fills a completely different role. And that variety is exactly what defines the modern budget 9mm category, giving shooters more choices based on how they actually want to run their gear, rather than forcing everyone into the same type of platform. At number 16, the JR Carbine 9mm Takedown earns its place on this list because it perfectly represents what a smart, value-driven PCC should be in today's market, focusing on real-world practicality instead of gimmicks, while staying accessible in the roughly $600 to $750 price range. And right away, what separates this platform from many others is its true takedown capability, allowing the rifle to be broken down into compact sections in just seconds without tools, making it incredibly easy to store in a backpack, vehicle compartment, or tight space where a traditional fixed carbine simply wouldn't fit. And that level of portability directly aligns with the idea of a budget carbine that you can actually keep with you and use regularly instead of leaving it at home due to size constraints. With an overall length typically around 32 to 35 inches when assembled, depending on configuration, and a significantly reduced footprint once disassembled, giving it a major advantage for transport-focused setups, while the barrel length usually sits in the 16-inch range, which helps maintain solid velocity and accuracy at typical engagement distances. And despite its modular nature, the platform maintains a consistent and dependable shooting experience thanks to its simple blowback system that prioritizes reliability over complexity, reducing maintenance requirements and minimizing potential failure points, which becomes especially important for shooters who plan to run high round counts or use a variety of ammunition types, including lower-cost bulk options. And one of the biggest strengths here is its compatibility with widely available magazine systems, such as Glock pattern magazines, which keeps long-term ownership costs low and ensures that sourcing reliable magazines is never an issue, adding another layer of practicality that many proprietary systems simply cannot match. And the aluminum receiver construction provides a solid balance between durability and weight, keeping the rifle sturdy without becoming overly heavy during extended use, while the straightforward control layout makes it easy to pick up and run, even for newer shooters, without requiring a steep learning curve. And although it may not deliver the softest recoil impulse compared to more advanced delayed systems, the recoil remains predictable and manageable, allowing for consistent follow-up shots and effective control during rapid fire. With ergonomics that lean more toward function than refinement, but still deliver a comfortable shooting experience overall. And what really justifies its position in this list is how well it adapts to different roles without forcing you into a single configuration. Whether you're setting it up as a compact truck gun, a portable defensive option, or a simple range carbine, it gives you the flexibility to evolve your setup over time without needing to invest in an entirely new platform, and that combination of portability, modularity, and cost efficiency is exactly what defines a strong budget 9mm PCC in 2026, making the JR Carbine takedown not just a practical choice, but a genuinely smart one for shooters who value versatility and real-world usability over flashy features. At the entry point, number 15, the Diamondback DB9R earns its place on this list by staying true to what a budget 9mm carbine should actually deliver in 2026: real reliability, practical performance, and a price point that makes sense for everyday shooters who plan to train consistently without overspending. Sitting comfortably in the mid-$600 range, this platform immediately stands out as one of the most accessible entry points into a serious PCC that doesn't feel stripped down or compromised. Built around a durable 606 1T6 billet aluminum receiver, the DB9R offers a solid and confidence-inspiring foundation that holds up well over time. And that matters because this is often where cheaper carbines tend to cut corners. The overall length typically comes in around 26 to 32 inches, depending on configuration, all paired with an 8-inch barrel that keeps the platform compact and easy to maneuver without sacrificing practical accuracy at common engagement distances. The M-LOK handguard adds another layer of usability, giving you enough real estate to mount lights, grips, or other accessories without turning the setup into something bulky or overcomplicated. One of the biggest advantages of the DB9R is its compatibility with Glock magazines, and this is a major factor in why it fits perfectly into a value-focused lineup like this, because it keeps long-term costs low while giving you access to widely available, proven magazines that are easy to find and affordable to stock up on. Internally, the carbine uses a straightforward blowback system, and while that may sound basic, it is actually one of the strongest aspects of the platform, since fewer moving parts translate into easier maintenance, consistent cycling, and dependable performance across a wide range of ammunition, including cheaper bulk loads that most shooters rely on for training. Weighing in at around 5.5 pounds, it strikes a balanced feel that is light enough for extended use while still providing enough mass to keep recoil manageable and predictable, allowing for faster follow-up shots without feeling overly snappy. The threaded barrel adds versatility right out of the box, making it ready for further customization without additional modifications, which is something many shooters end up paying extra for on other platforms. Of course, it is not the most refined or softest shooting option in this category, and the trigger is fairly standard out of the box, but those trade-offs are exactly what allow it to maintain such an attractive price point while still delivering where it matters most. What truly secures the Diamondback DB9R a spot in this list is how well it aligns with the core idea of a budget 9mm carbine that actually makes sense to own, because it is not just about the upfront cost, it is about the total ownership experience, from affordable magazines to low maintenance and reliable performance over time. This is a platform built for real use, not just specs on paper, and for shooters who want something dependable, easy to run, and cost-effective without sacrificing essential performance. The DB9R proves that you do not need to spend premium money to get a carbine that consistently delivers. We're starting strong at number 14, Kel-Tec. Sub 2000 Gen 3 immediately earns its place on this list because it represents exactly what a true budget-friendly 9mm carbine should be in 2026. Practical, accessible, and built around real-world use rather than just specs on paper. What sets it apart right away is the signature folding design, and this is not just a gimmick to grab attention. It completely changes how you think about owning and carrying a carbine. With an overall length of around 30 inches when extended and folding down to roughly 16 inches, it becomes compact enough to fit inside a backpack, vehicle compartment, or discreet bag without drawing attention, which is something most traditional carbines simply cannot offer. That level of portability makes it incredibly appealing for truck setups, emergency kits, or anyone who wants a firearm that can stay out of sight but still be ready to deploy in seconds. The Gen 3 version builds on earlier models by refining key areas that users actually care about, especially optics mounting. Previous generations forced you to compromise between using a red dot and maintaining the folding capability, but now the updated rotating forend allows you to keep your optic mounted while still being able to fold the rifle, which is a huge improvement in real usability. Internally, it continues to run a simple blowback system. And while that may sound basic, it is one of the biggest reasons this platform remains reliable and affordable. Fewer moving parts means fewer failure points and easier maintenance over time. Chambered in 9mm and compatible with widely available magazine options depending on the variant. Thus, including Glock magazines, it keeps long-term ownership costs low and makes sourcing mags easy, which is a major advantage for budget-focused shooters who actually plan to train regularly. The lightweight polymer construction keeps the weight around 4.25 pounds, making it extremely easy to carry and handle, especially during extended sessions, although that lighter weight does result in a slightly sharper recoil impulse compared to heavier carbines, which is one of the trade-offs you have to accept at this price point. Ergonomics have also been improved in this generation, with a more refined grip and better control layout that feels more natural in the hands, allowing both new and experienced shooters to run it effectively without a steep learning curve. The threaded barrel adds extra versatility for those looking to expand their setup. And the overall design remains focused on function over flash, which is exactly what you want in a value-driven platform. Pricing typically falls between $500 and $600 depending on configuration, which makes it one of the most accessible options in the entire category without feeling like a compromise. It is not the most refined, it is not the softest shooting, and it does not try to compete with premium-tier carbines, but that is not the point. What makes the Kel-Tec Sub 2000 Gen 3 stand out and deserve a spot on this list is how effectively it solves a real problem, giving you a reliable, portable, and affordable 9mm carbine that you can actually carry, store, and use in situations where a full-size rifle would be impractical. And that kind of real-world value is exactly what defines the modern budget PCC market. Launching the list with number 13, the Hi.995 TS Carbine is one of the clearest examples of what a true budget 9mm carbine should be in 2026. And that's exactly why it earns its place on this list right from the start. This platform is built with one goal in mind, delivering reliable performance at the lowest possible cost. And in a category where value matters more than anything, that approach still makes a lot of sense. With a typical street price sitting between $300 and $400, it's one of the most affordable ways to get into a functional PCC without sacrificing the core requirement, which is consistency. The overall length comes in at around 31 inches with a 16.5-inch barrel, giving it a full carbine profile that feels stable and easy to control. The weight is slightly heavier than many modern polymer-heavy designs, usually sitting just over 6 pounds. But that extra mass actually works in its favor by helping absorb recoil and keeping the gun planted during rapid fire. Instead of chasing advanced systems or complex engineering, the 995 TS uses a straightforward blowback action. And that simplicity is the reason it performs as reliably as it does. Fewer moving parts means fewer failure points, and that translates directly into a platform that continues to run, even when conditions are less than ideal, or when you're feeding it cheaper bulk ammo for training. The design itself leans heavily into function over form with a rugged polymer stock that may not win any style points, but provides a solid and durable foundation. The ergonomics are basic, and the trigger is far from refined, but everything is positioned in a way that is easy to understand and operate, especially for newer shooters who don't want to deal with a steep learning curve. The integrated rails allow for simple customization with optics or lights, and while it doesn't offer the same level of modularity as AR-style PCCs, it still gives you enough flexibility to set it up for practical use. One of the more overlooked advantages is how forgiving this platform is with ammunition. It cycles reliably with a wide range of loads, including steel case, which directly reduces the cost of ownership over time and makes it easier to train consistently without worrying about performance issues. There are trade-offs, and it's important to be honest about them. The proprietary magazine system limits compatibility compared to Glock-based platforms, and the overall feel is dated compared to newer designs in the market. But those compromises are exactly what allow it to stay in such an accessible price range while still delivering dependable performance. What really justifies its position in this list is how well it aligns with the idea of a budget 9mm carbine that actually makes sense for real-world use. It's not about premium materials or cutting-edge features. It's about having something that works every time you pick it up, something you can train with regularly, and something that doesn't force you to spend more than necessary. In a market that continues to push higher price tags, the high .995 TS Carbine proves that effectiveness is still achievable at the lowest end of the spectrum, making it one of the most practical and honest entries in this entire category. First up on the board, number 12. The CZ Scorpion 3+ Yetic Carbine earns its place on this list because it perfectly represents what a modern budget-friendly 9mm carbine should be in 2026. Blending proven reliability with meaningful upgrades that directly improve real-world performance without pushing the price into premium territory. And that balance is exactly what this video is all about. Building on the legacy of the earlier EVO platform, this updated version refines the experience in ways that you immediately notice the moment you pick it up. Starting with the ergonomics, which have been significantly improved with a more natural grip angle, better texturing, and a redesigned control layout that makes everything from the safety to the magazine release faster and more intuitive to operate under pressure. The overall length sits around 34 to 36 inches depending on configuration, paired with a 16.3-inch barrel that delivers solid velocity and consistent accuracy at typical PCC distances, while the weight stays in that manageable 5.3 to 5.5 pound range, keeping it light enough for extended use without feeling unstable. Internally, it still runs a blowback system, but the tuning has been refined to reduce that harsh, snappy recoil impulse commonly associated with cheaper PCC designs, resulting in a smoother, more controlled shooting cycle that makes follow-up shots quicker and more predictable, especially during rapid fire or training drills. The redesigned handguard with M-Lock compatibility gives you plenty of space for accessories without adding unnecessary bulk, and the full-length top rail makes mounting optics simple and reliable, turning this carbine into a fast, accurate platform when paired with a red dot. One of the standout features is its proprietary magazine system, which might seem like a downside at first compared to Glock-compatible options. But in reality, these magazines are widely available, durable, and cost-effective, making long-term ownership more practical than many expect. The build quality leans heavily into reinforced polymer, keeping the weight down while still maintaining durability, and the overall construction feels solid and purpose-built rather than cheap. In terms of price, it typically lands in the $900 to $1,000 range in 2026, which positions it right at that edge where budget meets performance. And that's exactly why it stands out, because it delivers a level of refinement, reliability, and shootability that rivals more expensive platforms without forcing you into that higher price bracket. Of course, it's not perfect. The trigger out of the box is still fairly basic, and the charging handle can feel a bit stiff initially, but both are minor trade-offs that can be easily improved over time, and they don't take away from the overall experience. What really secures the CZ Scorpion 3+ Carbine a spot in this list is how well it embodies the idea of smart spending. It takes a platform that was already respected, improves the areas that actually matter, and delivers a carbine that feels modern, dependable, and ready for serious use, making it one of the strongest value-driven options in the entire 9mm PCC category today. Taking the number 11, Beretta CX4. Storm steps into this list as one of the smartest value-driven 9mm carbines you can pick in 2026. And the reason it earns that spot right away comes down to one core idea: practical performance without unnecessary complexity. This is not a platform trying to chase trends or overload you with features you won't use. Instead, it focuses on delivering a reliable, easy-to-run system that actually holds up over time, which fits perfectly with the theme of budget carbines that make real sense to own. The CX4 Storm features a compact overall length of around 29.7 inches, paired with a 16.6-inch barrel that gives you a solid balance between maneuverability and accuracy. That size makes it easy to handle in tighter environments while still maintaining consistent performance at typical PCC distances. One of the defining characteristics here is the fully enclosed polymer shell design, and this is more than just a visual choice. It actively protects internal components from dirt, dust, and debris, reducing the need for constant cleaning and making the platform far more forgiving in less than ideal conditions. That directly translates into long-term reliability, especially for shooters who actually use their gear regularly instead of keeping it as a safe queen. Internally, it runs a straight blowback system, but Beretta has tuned it in a way that keeps the recoil impulse smooth and predictable. It's not the softest shooting system out there, but it's controlled, consistent, and easy to manage even for newer shooters. The ergonomics are another strong point. Or the controls are fully ambidextrous and can be configured to suit both left and right-handed users, which adds versatility without adding complexity. Everything feels intuitive, from the safety to the magazine release, allowing you to pick it up and run it effectively without a steep learning curve. It also benefits from compatibility with Beretta pistol magazines, which is a major advantage for cost efficiency and convenience, especially if you're already running a Beretta sidearm. In terms of weight, it sits around 5.75 pounds, keeping it light enough for extended use without becoming difficult to control. On the downside, modularity is limited compared to modern M-LOK heavy platforms, so if you're someone who wants to stack accessories, this might feel restrictive. The trigger is also fairly standard and not particularly refined out of the box. However, these trade-offs are exactly what allow the CX4 Storm to stay in that accessible price range, typically around $700 to $800 in 2026, while still delivering consistent real-world performance. What ultimately secures its place on this list is how well it aligns with the idea of a budget 9mm carbine that actually delivers value. It doesn't try to impress with gimmicks or over-engineering. It focuses on reliability, ease of use, and long-term practicality, making it one of the most dependable and straightforward options for shooters who want something that just works every time they pick it up. Moving into the number 10, the TNW Aero Survival Rifle earns its place on this list because it perfectly represents what a true budget-friendly, practical 9mm carbine should be in 2026, focusing not just on price, but on real-world usability, adaptability, and long-term value. At its core, this platform is designed around maximum portability, and that becomes immediately obvious the moment you handle it. The rifle features a quick takedown system that allows it to be separated into two main compact components in just seconds, without the need for tools, reducing its overall length from roughly 29 to 30 inches down to a much smaller footprint that can easily fit inside a backpack or vehicle storage compartment. This makes it an ideal option for shooters looking to build a truck setup, emergency kit, or simply a discrete transport solution that doesn't sacrifice capability. Weighing in at around 5.5 pounds depending on configuration, it remains light enough for extended carry while still maintaining enough structural integrity thanks to its aluminum receiver, which provides durability without unnecessary bulk. The barrel typically comes in a 16-inch configuration, offering a solid balance between velocity, accuracy, and maneuverability, while the threaded muzzle adds flexibility for those who want to expand their setup further. Internally, the rifle operates on a straightforward blowback system, and while that may sound basic, it is actually one of its strongest advantages because it keeps the design simple, reduces potential failure points, and makes maintenance easy even for less experienced users. The TNW Aero Survival Rifle is also highly versatile in terms of compatibility, with the ability to run widely available Glock magazines, which significantly lowers long-term ownership costs and ensures that finding reliable magazines is never an issue. In terms of shooting experience, the recoil impulse is a bit more direct compared to heavier or more advanced systems, which can be seen as a downside for some, but it remains very manageable and predictable, especially considering the lightweight design. The ergonomics lean more toward function than refinement, with a straightforward layout that prioritizes ease of use over modern styling. And while it may not feel as polished as higher-end PCCs, it delivers exactly where it matters. What really makes this rifle stand out and justifies its position in a list focused on budget 9mm carbines is how well it balances affordability with genuine practicality. It is not trying to compete with premium platforms on features or innovation. Instead, it solves a real problem by offering a reliable, compact, and easy-to-maintain system that you can actually carry, store, and deploy in realistic scenarios without hassle. When you factor in its typical price range of around $600 to $700, along with its modular design, portability, and dependable performance across a wide range of ammunition types, it becomes clear why this platform continues to be a smart choice for shooters who value function over flash and want a carbine that fits into their everyday life, rather than staying locked away. Right at the bottom, number 9, Foxtrot Mike FM9 steps directly into this list because it perfectly represents what a true budget-friendly 9mm carbine should be in 2026, delivering a combination of reliability, smart design, and real-world usability without pushing into premium pricing. This is not just another AR-style PCC trying to follow a trend. It's a platform that has been refined specifically for the 9mm system, and that shows the moment you handle it. Built around a billet aluminum receiver, the FM9 immediately feels solid and well-machined, avoiding the loose or hollow feel that some cheaper carbines struggle with. Most configurations come with barrel lengths ranging from around 5 inches up to 16 inches depending on the setup, with the overall length typically sitting between roughly 24 to 32 inches, all giving you flexibility whether you want a compact configuration or a more stable full-size carbine. The M-LOK handguard provides ample space for accessories while keeping the front end lightweight, and the full-length top rail makes optic mounting simple and secure, which is exactly what most shooters expect from a modern platform. One of the biggest advantages here is its compatibility with Glock magazines, and that alone plays a huge role in why this carbine earns its place on this list, because it directly reduces long-term cost and ensures you're working with a magazine system that has already proven itself across millions of rounds. Internally, it uses a straight blowback system, but Foxtrot Mike has tuned the setup in a way that keeps it running reliably across a wide range of ammunition, though including bulk ammo that many shooters rely on for regular training. The recoil impulse is predictable and manageable, not the softest in the category, but consistent enough to allow fast follow-up shots without fighting the gun. Another standout feature is the last round bolt hold open, which is something that even higher-end PCCs sometimes struggle to implement correctly, yet here it works reliably and adds real usability during reloads. Weight typically falls around the 5.5 to 6.5 pound range depending on configuration, which keeps it light enough for extended use while still maintaining enough mass to control recoil effectively. Of course, it's not perfect. The trigger out of the box is serviceable rather than exceptional, and most models do not include iron sights, meaning you'll likely invest a bit more into your setup. But these are reasonable trade-offs considering the overall value. Pricing usually lands in the $600 to $750 range, which is exactly where this platform makes the most sense. Because even after adding optics and basic accessories, you're still sitting below many competitors while getting performance that feels far more refined than the price suggests. What really secures the FM9 a place in this lineup is how well it balances cost, reliability, and usability in a way that actually supports real training and practical use, rather than just looking good on paper, making it one of the smartest choices for anyone looking to get into a capable 9mm carbine without overspending. Kicking things off at number 8, PSA JAKL steps into this list as one of the clearest examples of how a budget 9mm carbine can deliver serious performance without losing the rugged reliability people expect from an AK-style platform. And that's exactly why it earns its place here right from the start. Built around a proven AK-inspired system, this carbine brings a level of durability that immediately stands out in the budget PCC category, especially for shooters who prioritize long-term reliability over flashy features. With an overall length typically around 34 to 36 inches, depending on configuration, and a barrel length close to 16 inches, it strikes a solid balance between compact handling and practical accuracy at common engagement distances, weighing in at roughly 6.5 to 7 pounds. The added mass plays a major role in how the gun performs under recoil, helping to keep the platform stable and controlled, even during faster strings of fire. Unlike many lightweight blowback carbines that can feel sharp and unpredictable, the AKV uses its weight and internal tuning to deliver a smoother, more manageable shooting experience that encourages consistent follow-up shots. One of the standout features is its use of CZ Scorpion pattern magazines, which keeps costs low and availability high while still maintaining strong reliability. Something that directly supports the idea of a budget-friendly platform that makes sense to actually use regularly. The stamped steel receiver and forged components reinforce that classic AK durability, giving the rifle a solid, confidence-inspiring feel that holds up under heavy use. At the same time, PSA has integrated modern upgrades like an M-LOK handguard for accessory mounting and a rail dust cover for optics, allowing shooters to configure the rifle for different roles without needing extensive modifications. The controls follow a traditional AK layout, which may require a short adjustment period for those used to AR-style platforms. But once learned, it becomes intuitive and extremely reliable in real-world handling. Price-wise, the AKV typically sits in the $800 to $900 range, placing it comfortably within the budget but serious performance category. And that pricing is a big part of why it belongs in this list. It offers a level of build quality and durability that feels closer to higher-end platforms, while still remaining accessible to a wide range of shooters. Of course, it's not without trade-offs. The weight can make it less ideal for extended carry, and the AK ergonomics won't appeal to everyone right away. But those compromises are directly tied to what this platform is designed to deliver. In return, you get a carbine that runs consistently across a wide range of ammo, handles recoil better than many competitors, and brings a level of toughness that few budget PCCs can match. That combination of reliability, controllability, and practical upgrades is exactly what defines a strong, value-driven 9mm carbine in 2026. And it's the reason the PSA AKV stands out as one of the most compelling choices in this entire category. The countdown begins at number 7, Grand Power Stribog SP9. A1 is one of the clearest examples of how far the budget 9mm carbine category has evolved, and the reason it earns a place on this list comes down to one thing. It delivers a shooting experience that feels far more refined than its price suggests while still staying accessible to a wide range of shooters. Typically sitting in the $700 to $800 range depending on configuration, this platform hits that sweet spot where performance starts to overlap with higher-end systems without crossing into premium territory, which aligns perfectly with the idea of getting real value without overspending. The Stribog SP9A1 features an overall length of around 16 inches in its carbine configuration, paired with a barrel length that balances compact handling with practical accuracy, making it effective in both range environments and defensive scenarios. At its core, it uses a straight blowback system, but what sets it apart is how well that system is tuned, resulting in a recoil impulse that feels noticeably smoother and less abrupt than many other carbines in the same category, which directly improves control and allows for faster, more consistent follow-up shots. The receiver is machined from aluminum, giving it a rigid and durable structure that holds up over time while maintaining a manageable weight, typically just over 5 pounds, which keeps it agile without feeling too light or unstable. One of the standout design features is the monolithic top rail, which provides a solid and continuous mounting surface for optics, all ensuring consistent zero retention and making it easy to set up a red dot or other sighting system without additional modifications. Ergonomics are another area where this platform shines, with fully ambidextrous controls that are intuitive and easy to access, allowing both new and experienced shooters to run the carbine efficiently without a steep learning curve. Magazine design has improved significantly in newer production models, addressing earlier concerns and enhancing overall reliability. especially when running a variety of ammunition types, including bulk range ammo. While the trigger out of the box is fairly standard and not competition grade, it remains consistent and predictable, which is more than enough for most practical applications, and can always be upgraded later if needed. The Stribog also offers ample rail space for accessories, giving users the flexibility to add lights, grips, or other attachments depending on their setup preferences. In terms of drawbacks, it still retains some of the characteristics of a blowback system, meaning it does not completely eliminate recoil like more advanced delayed systems, but the way it's engineered minimizes that issue to a point where it becomes a non-factor for most users. Ultimately, what makes the Grand Power Stribog SP9A1 stand out in a list focused on budget-friendly yet capable carbines is its ability to deliver a smooth, controlled, and reliable shooting experience in a package that feels far more premium than its price tag suggests, making it one of the smartest choices for shooters who want performance, durability, and real-world usability without stepping into a higher cost bracket. We start this breakdown with number 6, the Freedom Ordnance FX9 stands out in this list because it represents exactly what a modern budget-friendly 9mm carbine should be in 2026, delivering real performance improvements without pushing into premium pricing, and that balance is the core reason it earns its place here. This platform is built from the ground up with a clear focus on improving the shooting experience where it actually matters, starting with its proprietary bolt design paired with a tuned buffer system that significantly reduces the sharp, abrupt recoil impulse commonly associated with traditional blowback carbines. Instead of that harsh snap, the FX9 offers a smoother, more controlled cycling action that keeps the muzzle flatter during rapid fire, making follow-up shots faster and more consistent, and especially for shooters who spend serious time training. The overall construction is centered around a billet aluminum receiver, giving the rifle a solid and durable feel, while still maintaining a manageable weight, typically around 6 pounds depending on configuration, which strikes a strong balance between stability and maneuverability. Barrel length options usually range from compact setups around 8 inches up to 16 inches for full carbine configurations, allowing users to tailor the platform depending on whether they prioritize portability or improved velocity and control. The free-float M-LOK handguard provides ample space for accessories without adding unnecessary bulk, and the full-length top rail makes optic mounting straightforward and reliable. Ergonomically, it follows a familiar AR-style layout, which means there is virtually no learning curve for most users, and that alone adds a lot of practical value. One of the biggest advantages is its compatibility with Glock magazines, which keeps long-term ownership costs low and ensures easy access to reliable, widely available mags, something that becomes increasingly important the more you actually use the platform. In terms of real-world performance, the FX9 handles a wide range of ammunition without being overly sensitive, making it a solid choice for both range training and defensive setups. Pricing typically lands in the $700 to $800 range, positioning it right in that sweet spot where affordability meets serious usability. Of course, it is not perfect, as the trigger out of the box is functional rather than exceptional. And while the recoil is smoother than most blowback systems, it still does not completely eliminate that impulse like more advanced delayed systems. However, those trade-offs are exactly what allow it to remain accessible while still delivering meaningful improvements where they count. The reason the FX9 belongs on this list is simple. It does not try to compete by adding unnecessary features or chasing trends. Instead, it focuses on refining the fundamentals, offering a smoother shooting experience, solid construction, and practical compatibility in a package that makes sense for real users who want performance without overspending. Breaking into the list at number 5, PSA JAKL 9 million immediately earns its place on this list because it challenges one of the biggest limitations of budget PCCs, which is the reliance on simple blowback systems that often come with sharp recoil and less refined performance, and instead brings a long stroke piston system into a price range where you almost never see it. making it one of the most forward-thinking options for shooters who want more than just basic functionality without jumping into premium pricing. Right out of the gate, this platform feels different in how it cycles, delivering a noticeably smoother and more controlled recoil impulse that stays consistent even during rapid fire. And that alone makes it far more comfortable for extended range sessions or training scenarios where control and repeatability actually matter. The overall length typically sits around 16 inches in barrel configuration with a compact profile thanks to its folding stock design, allowing the rifle to collapse into a much shorter footprint for storage or transport, while still maintaining full functionality, which is a major advantage for anyone building a truck setup or needing something that can stay discreet without sacrificing readiness. One of the most unique aspects here is the monolithic upper receiver, which adds structural rigidity and keeps everything aligned under heavy use, contributing to both durability and consistent accuracy over time. And when combined with the enclosed recoil system, it eliminates the need for a traditional buffer tube, opening the door for true side folding capability without compromise. That detail alone separates it from most AR-based PCCs that lose usability when folded because the JAKL can still operate in that compact configuration, giving it a level of versatility that directly supports real-world practicality. The weight comes in slightly heavier than basic blowback carbines, but that added mass works in your favor by absorbing recoil and keeping the platform stable, especially when running faster shooting drills. In terms of ergonomics, it stays intuitive with ambidextrous controls that make it accessible for a wide range of users. And the overall layout feels purpose-built rather than adapted, which is something you notice quickly once you start handling it. Pricing typically lands in the $900 to just under $1,000 range depending on configuration. And while that places it slightly above entry-level options, the value becomes clear when you consider the upgraded operating system, improved shooting characteristics, and overall build quality that pushes it closer to higher-end platforms. Of course, it is not perfect, as the more complex system can require a bit more attention and maintenance compared to simpler designs, and the weight may not appeal to everyone looking for ultralight setups, but those trade-offs are directly tied to the performance benefits you are getting in return. What really secures the PSA JAKL 9mm a spot in this list is how well it aligns with the idea of a modern budget carbine that actually evolves beyond its category, offering smoother operation, better control, and real versatility in a package that still remains within reach. Proving that you do not have to settle for basic blowback performance when smarter engineering is available at a similar price point. Down at the base of the list, number 4, Brigade BM9 steps into this list as one of the smartest choices for shooters who care about real-world reliability without overspending. And that's exactly why it earns its place in a value-focused 9mm carbine lineup. This platform is built around a true AR pattern foundation, which immediately gives it a massive advantage in terms of compatibility, customization, and long-term usability. With an overall length typically around 32 to 35 inches, depending on configuration, and a barrel length in the 16-inch range, it strikes a solid balance between maneuverability and stability, making it practical for both range work and defensive setups. The weight usually sits around 6 to 7 pounds, which helps keep recoil manageable while still feeling solid in the hands. At its core, the BM9 runs a straightforward blowback system, and while that may sound basic, it's actually one of the biggest reasons this platform performs so consistently. The simplicity of the internal design reduces potential failure points, keeps maintenance easy, and allows it to cycle a wide range of ammunition, including cheaper bulk loads that many shooters rely on for regular training. That directly ties into the idea of a budget-friendly platform that doesn't just save money up front, but also stays affordable to run over time. One of the strongest selling points here is its compatibility with the AR ecosystem. From triggers and grips to stocks and handguards, you're not locked into proprietary parts, which means you can upgrade and fine-tune the rifle as your needs evolve. That flexibility is something many budget carbines lack. And it's a big reason why the BM9 stands out. The controls feel familiar and intuitive, especially for anyone with AR experience, allowing for quick adaptation without a learning curve. The handguard typically features M-lock slots, giving you room to add lights, grips, or other accessories without unnecessary bulk, while the flat top receiver makes mounting optics simple and reliable. In terms of shooting performance, the recoil impulse is slightly sharper than more advanced delayed systems, but the added weight and overall balance help keep it predictable and easy to control during follow-up shots. Accuracy is exactly where it needs to be for a carbine in this category, consistent and dependable without requiring constant adjustment. Current pricing generally falls in the $700 to $800 range, which places it right in that sweet spot where affordability meets real capability. It's not trying to compete with high-end platforms in terms of innovation or premium features, and that's actually part of its strength. Instead, it focuses on delivering a platform that works every time you pick it up, that can be easily upgraded over time, and that makes sense for shooters who actually plan to use their gear. That combination of reliability, uncompatibility, and practical performance is exactly why the Brigade BM9 deserves a spot on this list, because it proves that a well-executed, straightforward design can still deliver everything most shooters actually need without unnecessary complexity or cost. The journey starts at number 3, Just Right. Carbine continues to stand out in the modern 9mm carbine space by doing something many platforms in this price range struggle to achieve: true long-term adaptability without forcing you into a fixed setup from day one. And that alone is exactly why it earns a solid place in a value-driven list like this, especially for shooters who care about flexibility and real-world usability over flashy features. Typically priced in the $650 to $800 range depending on configuration, this carbine hits a sweet spot where affordability meets customization, giving you a platform that can evolve instead of becoming outdated. At its core, the Just Right carbine is built around a simple blowback operating system, which keeps reliability high and maintenance straightforward. But what really defines it is its modular architecture. The rifle features an overall length of roughly 32 to 36 inches, depending on stock configuration, with a standard barrel length around 16 inches, providing a balanced combination of maneuverability and stability. The aluminum receiver keeps weight manageable while still offering durability, and the design allows for caliber conversions and magazine compatibility changes, most commonly supporting Glock magazines, which dramatically reduces long-term ownership cost and ensures easy access to reliable feeding options. Ergonomically, the platform leans toward a more traditional rifle layout, but that simplicity works in its favor. Controls are intuitive, easy to learn, and don't require retraining if you're coming from other rifle platforms. The takedown capability is another major advantage, allowing the rifle to be broken down quickly for transport or storage, making it a strong option for truck setups, travel, or compact storage solutions. In terms of shooting experience, the recoil impulse is more direct compared to delayed systems, which is expected from a blowback design, but it remains controllable and predictable, especially with proper setup. It's not trying to deliver a premium soft shooting feel, and that's not its role. Instead, it focuses on consistency and practicality, which matters far more for shooters who actually plan to train regularly. Where this carbine really earns its place on this list is how well it aligns with the idea of a budget platform that makes sense over time. You're not locked into one configuration, one magazine type, or one specific role. This is a system you can adapt as your needs change, whether that's range use, defensive applications, or a more compact transport-focused setup. The ability to upgrade components, change configurations, and maintain compatibility with widely available parts gives it a level of long-term value that many fixed PCC designs simply can't match. It may not be the most refined or the most modern-looking option, but what it delivers is something arguably more important: a dependable, flexible, and cost-effective platform that grows with you instead of limiting you. And that's exactly why it belongs in a list focused on the best budget 9mm carbines that actually deliver real value. To get things moving, number 2. The Ruger PC Carbine stands out in this list because it perfectly represents what a true value-driven 9mm platform should be in 2026. Not flashy, not over-engineered, but incredibly well-balanced in a way that actually matters when you spend real time using it. and that's exactly why it earns its place here. At first glance, it may not look like the most modern or aggressive design, but once you get hands-on, you realize this carbine is built around practical performance rather than hype. With an overall length typically ranging from about 34 to 36 inches depending on configuration, and a 16.12-inch cold, hammer-forged barrel, it delivers a solid balance between compact handling and stable accuracy. The takedown system is one of its most useful features, allowing you to quickly separate the barrel from the receiver in seconds without tools, which makes storage, transport, and even maintenance significantly easier compared to fixed platforms. This alone makes it ideal for truck setups, travel, or anyone who values flexibility without sacrificing capability. One of the biggest advantages of the Ruger PC Carbine is its interchangeable magazine well system, giving you the ability to run both Ruger SR series magazines and widely available Glock magazines, which dramatically reduces long-term cost and increases convenience since Glock mags are affordable and easy to find. Internally, the dead blow action system is what really elevates the shooting experience, using a weighted bolt to absorb recoil energy and reduce that sharp impulse commonly found in traditional blowback carbines, resulting in smoother cycling, better control, and faster follow-up shots during extended sessions. Weighing in at around 6.8 to 7.3 pounds depending on the model, it has enough mass to stay stable without feeling overly heavy, and that contributes to its predictable handling. The controls are simple and intuitive, with a reversible charging handle and magazine release that can be configured for different users, making it accessible to both left and right-handed shooters. The stock design allows for adjustable length of pull, which helps tailor the fit to different body types or shooting preferences. In terms of performance, it handles a wide range of ammo without becoming picky, which is a major advantage for anyone training regularly with bulk ammunition. The threaded barrel also adds flexibility for further setup, all making it suppressor ready right out of the box. Pricing in 2026 typically falls in the $600 to $700 range, placing it right in that sweet spot where affordability meets real capability. Of course, it's not perfect. The design leans a bit heavier than some modern competitors, and it doesn't have the ultra-tactical aesthetic that some shooters prefer. But those trade-offs are part of what makes it so reliable and stable. What really defines the Ruger PC Carbine is how consistent it is across every category that matters, from reliability and recoil control to modularity and ease of use. And that's exactly why it continues to be one of the smartest choices for anyone looking for a dependable 9mm carbine that delivers real-world performance without forcing you to overspend. And finally, at number 1, Smith & Wesson M&P FPC takes the top spot on this list because it perfectly captures what this video is all about: getting maximum real-world performance and usability out of a platform that stays within a realistic price range, and it does that through smart engineering instead of unnecessary complexity or inflated cost. Right out of the gate, this carbine stands out with its side-folding design, allowing the entire platform to collapse into a compact, easy-to-store configuration that measures roughly 16 to 17 inches when folded, while extending to around 30 inches when deployed, giving you a full-length shooting experience without the usual storage limitations that come with traditional carbines. The 16.25-inch barrel provides a solid balance between velocity and control, all making it effective at typical engagement distances while still keeping the overall weight down to around 5 pounds, which plays a huge role in how maneuverable and comfortable it feels during longer sessions. What really separates this platform from other folding carbines is how well the system is engineered, because it doesn't just fold for convenience, it maintains optic zero, even after repeated folding and unfolding, which is critical for any serious use and something many competing designs struggle to achieve consistently. The construction blends lightweight polymer with reinforced metal components, creating a structure that feels durable without becoming bulky, and that balance directly improves handling, especially for newer shooters or anyone running extended range sessions. It operates on a straight blowback system, all keeping the internal mechanics simple, reliable, and easy to maintain, while still delivering a smooth and predictable recoil impulse that makes follow-up shots fast and controllable. One of its biggest advantages is compatibility with Smith and Wesson M&P magazines, which are widely available, affordable, and proven over time, reducing long-term ownership costs and making it especially appealing for users already invested in that ecosystem. The integrated magazine storage in the stock is another standout feature, allowing you to carry spare mags directly on the gun without needing additional gear, adding a level of practicality that directly translates into real-world scenarios. The controls are intuitive and familiar, with an AR-style layout that minimizes the learning curve. And the full-length top rail makes it easy to mount optics without limitation. In terms of drawbacks, the trigger is functional but not exceptional, and the polymer-heavy build may not appeal to those who prefer a more traditional all-metal feel. But those trade-offs are part of what keeps the platform lightweight and accessible without sacrificing reliability. With current pricing typically sitting in the $650 to $800 range, it lands right in that sweet spot where affordability meets genuine innovation. And that is exactly why it earns the #1 position here. Not because it is the most expensive or the most advanced on paper, but because it delivers a complete package that actually makes sense for real users, combining portability, reliability, and thoughtful design into a carbine that you can realistically own, train with, and depend on without feeling like you had to compromise anywhere that truly matters. What makes this platform stand out isn't just one feature, it's how everything comes together. The design feels intentional, the performance is consistent, and the usability is built around real-world scenarios rather than just specifications. It's a clear example of how far the budget $9 million category has come. At the end of the day, what this entire list proves is simple. You don't need to spend a fortune to get a carbine that performs well, holds up over time, and actually makes sense to own. The real difference now comes down to choosing what fits your needs, whether that's portability, durability, or overall balance. There's an option here that delivers without forcing you into compromises. And that's what makes this category stronger than it's ever been.